Welcome back to Fan Talk, everybody. Today we are going to be watching some trailers about Star Wars. We're going to be doing the Mandalorian, and then we're also going to
cover episode 9, the second trailer now.
The second trailer now. A lot to talk about, but rather than try and get all into it, we're actually going to do both the trailers back to back, and then we'll converse a little bit about what we saw and about what we think's going on. And so let's get to it.
Just jump right on in. First up is Mandalorian.
Dead stormtroopers.
I heard this takes place after Jedi, but before Force Awakens.
This looks so good for a series.
It's amazing. I love the look, the lived-in look as opposed to clean. That's the problem the prequels had. One of the problems.
This looks so good.
Another reason to get Disney Plus.
Is that IG-88, bro?
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
Carbonite.
I agree.
That guy.
The Mandalorian. So obviously this isn't Boba or Jango. This is
No.
we don't know yet.
We don't know yet. Yeah. Several things discussed there, but let's just go right into Star Wars. Let's go ahead and watch this. Both these dropped this week, so... All right.
There we go.
Here we go. This is interesting. Kind of a wrap up.
Yeah. I noticed they started with New Hope.
Yeah. Looks like it's literally going through the whole series, kind of.
Yeah. That's the original series, at least. They're now in Jedi already.
We've passed on all we know.
So they're going to release order.
Yeah.
1,000 generations live in you now. But this is your fight.
No Rogue One or Solo in that. Oh, Star Destroyers. Evil 3PO.
Your journey. Yes, it's him.
Vader and Emperor.
God, it's looking crazy.
Okay, well, let's just put that aside for a second.
Yeah, let's table that and let's start with the Mandalorian.
Yes.
Let's table that. So Mandalorian, it looks like from what we've known, it's going to be between Jedi and the new series.
Right. It looks like see the dead stormtroopers will be after the fall of the or the falling of the Empire.
Yes.
But before the New Republic can take over.
Yeah, and it's not Boba Fett. Obviously, it's just a different Mandalorian. Even the armor looks different. If you look, it's not that typical gray and green and red. It's like it looks like it's all silver. It looks really cool.
New. It doesn't look like it's battle worn.
Yeah, and I think the fan service there was IG-88. For fans of Star Wars, I mean, I would love to see them go even more into some of those other characters, because one of my favorite movies before all of them came out would have been Empire.
Yeah.
And Empire was great, and like that scene though, where like Vader's sending them out to find, Luke. There's that whole slew of bounty hunters there, and those are all famous characters in Star Wars.
Star Wars Extended Universe.
Yeah,
now.
but you never see them in another film again other than Boba Fett. So seeing IG-88 right there was really cool, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say it is definitely him, because he's a robot. So I mean, he
could live that long.
Yeah, he could live that long. So
of course, the time period from Empire to Jedi is only a few years.
Yeah, it's not too long. So it looks exciting.
It's a long couple years for Boba Fett, though.
Digesting
slowly. But yeah, it looks good. I love the had the kind of a Rogue One-ish feel to it. It's kind of the lived in. It's a hard universe as opposed to the shininess of the CGI shininess of the prequel trilogy. While pretty, did not look like a lived in universe.
Yeah.
The Rogue One especially is my favorite for that, showing the kind of nitty gritty street level. This is how things affect it.
Yeah,
and this had a lot of that kind of look to it, which I really, really liked.
Oh, I would question whether or not Rogue One's the best Star Wars movie ever made. Period. I would argue that film was fantastic, but
this has it's going to be a series, so it'd be interesting to see how they serialize. I mean, basically, it's going to be like a 10-hour movie broken up into 8 parts.
8 parts, and this is like the first live-action Star Wars series. And I feel like that this is also it's the flagship of Disney Plus.
One of them,
several, but I mean, this is
definitely the Lucasfilm side.
This is what they're rolling out first with.
Yeah.
I mean, like opening day, you're going to be able to like pay for Disney Plus and start watching The Mandalorian, and so. That being said, this has to be fantastic. I mean, and it doesn't look like it's going to disappoint.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like how they're going. Does the main character, the Mandalorian character, have is he well developed, or is it basically like him, kind of like a more kind of quieter role with everyone else kind of acting around him? I mean, I can't wait to see how it's set up.
Yeah, and like how much of an anti-hero is he going to be? Is it an anti-hero, or is it really this is a good person? Who.
Or is it a straight up bad guy that happens to not necessarily anti-hero, but maybe more just like actual, even more anti?
Yeah.
He's a protagonist and that he's a main character, but he's doing questionable things.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's...
And also, depends on your point of view. Is he just slaughtering former Empire types, and do we consider that to be a good thing or not?
Is it a he or is it a she? We don't even know that yet.
Yeah. Could be Samus.
But... No, it looks really good. I'm excited to see some of that fan service, and to other characters in the universe. I'm wondering what other characters might end up popping up in this series. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Moving on to episode 9, and I'm definitely going to be highlighting the title of the movie, "The Rise of Skywalker." Mm-hmm. That obviously says something. I mean, all the other movies, the titles mean something. I mean, even if it's just something very generic.
Yeah.
But the titles have never been misleading.
No.
So the Rise of Skywalker. Well, the only Skywalker left, I mean, is
Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue Carrie Fisher's character to a point, but obviously the actress is no longer with us, so that's not a possibility. Mm-hmm. But they're using old footage for the movie for her. But yeah, Kylo Ren is the only known
Skywalker. So the thing is because we still know so little about Rey's background. I mean, we just know what a lying Sith told us. Snook, Snook was like, oh yeah, you were like the child of like peasants or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, nobody. So
I think Ren said that.
Yeah, and so it's like, we don't know if there's any truth in any of that. So really, we still don't know if she could be a clone of some sort. She could be a child of Skywalker's from, like, she could have,
A child of a clone of Skywalker.
Yeah, I mean, there's no telling she could actually be a Skywalker herself. Which, if you think too, and you go back to the original book series, there were twins, and there was a boy and a girl, and they were both the Solo's children. So it wouldn't be that far fetched for her to somehow turn up to be a Skywalker.
True, I don't think she'll be Ren's sister because it gets weird at that point. Even though the series has historically been weird about twin brother and sister.
But
I think that's before he finally really knew what he was going to do with it.
Yeah,
But also there's the fan theory, which I'm very sympathetic to, that she's a descendant of Obi-Wan. British accent. Obviously, accents aren't genetic, but still, there's things there that could make that work if they wanted to go that direction. If they don't, fine, but it's a possibility.
Yeah.
I guess maybe the new Obi-Wan series could go into that if that was the case, but we won't know that until after the movie's out, so we'll see then. Also, just jumping ahead to that very last scene with her with the the upgraded Darth Maul double blade that swings open. That could be a number of things. That could be her having gone to the dark side in a major plot twist.
Yeah.
That could be some kind of training thing, kind of like Luke
on
Dagobah.
Luke and Dagobah, he had to face himself as Vader.
That could be a clone itself of Rey.
Yeah.
She could have to face a clone of herself. Who knows? I mean, there's other possibilities that they could do.
Well, we have to go into the fact that in the Star Wars universe, there are clones. We know this.
Right.
The clone army is a strong example. If you've read any of the extended universe, which are now, not canon, but for years
Guidelines.
for years were, that that Palpatine himself,
many clones.
Many clones of himself.
That
which
probably explains this
because he is in this film.
Yeah.
He is probably going to be the main protagonist of the film. So we do know that, and maybe this Ren that we see is maybe where she comes from. Maybe she is a clone herself of
Rey,
of this Rey who may be Palpatine's daughter, or maybe his his Padawan now. Who knows? There is literally 1,000 different ways we can go with this because we just don't have enough information. Which I'm sure that's the whole point. It's the whole point is to get us talking about
and then
it
into the theater.
Yeah. So I mean, there's no telling. I mean, I would say it would be very interesting to have the Kylo Ren's character, so the Solo, become the hero, and somehow Rey ends up falling to the dark side. I don't really think that's necessarily
not for the last chapter,
but I just don't feel there's enough time to build that.
Question for you: can Kylo redeem himself after having killed Han
Solo? I mean, anybody's redeemable in the Star Wars universe. I mean, that's kind of the way they look at it. Vader himself slaughtered younglings and
in the universe. Yes,
hundreds of Jedi.
Do you think the fans would be like, okay, cool, Kylo's a good guy now?
I mean, I think people are still upset about how Han Solo died in the film. As is, that first film, I think, had a lot of things that really hardcore fans had issues with. Overall, it was well received, but I mean, there's still things about that film that I'm like, ugh, And I will say that about this series in general. I mean, I am definitely not a hater. I love the series, but as far as the Star Wars films, my favorite of anything, pretty much, and definitely of all the new ones, is still Rogue One.
Yeah. Which is outside this trilogy.
Yeah.
Now, also Rise of Skywalker that confirms what was already long been known, that this 9-movie arc is a Skywalker story.
Yes.
Basically. So either Rey has a lot to do with that directly, or it somehow ends the Skywalker story, which then contradicts a bit the title of it.
Yeah.
Unless there's some kind of other meaning, like Kylo redeems himself by overthrowing the Emperor again. That's the rise of Skywalker, then dies or whatever, and that's kind of the rise and final gasp of the Skywalker. You never know.
Well, but I mean, also you got to think though that Kylo Ren technically is not a Skywalker; he's a Solo.
If you go by last names, but he's a descendant of Skywalker.
He's a descendant of Skywalker. But I mean, I'm just saying, if we're going by that note, I mean, it still makes sense that Rey might turn out to be a Skywalker.
Yeah.
And the rise of Skywalker also doesn't necessarily mean in a good way.
True.
You know what I mean? A Rise of Skywalker could be, her rise to power and balancing the Force, because there always has to be dark to be good. And there's also still been a lot of talk about...
She might have, maybe she's mastered the dark and the light. And
yeah, there's a lot of talk about the gray and stuff like that. It's talked about in the comics, and it's actually touched on an animated series. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I will say this, for fan service, it was a fantastic trailer to do, just to throw that little snippet in.
Now, any other trailer that showed 3PO with red eyes, that would be the talk of the internet.
Yes.
But no, they managed to outdo that.
Outdo it. It's like, why does he see through have red eyes? Yeah. And I mean, I really
Somebody turned on the terminate button.
I feel like that this movie is really going to blast us. I think that I'm really excited to see this one, because I've been a little let down by the series so far, the trilogy, but I've enjoyed them all. I'm glad they're making Star Wars films. I hope they keep doing it, but I've been a little let down as far as just that big wow. And I think this film is going to have that. I mean, even Kevin Smith's gone on record as saying that the last scene of the movie supposedly is just going to blow everybody's mind. We have the Emperor back for sure.
One of my favorite characters of the whole series.
And so I just feel like whatever is going to happen in this, I don't think any of us are going to be able to really properly guess it, because the whole idea is to keep you guessing, and
they're running
it's all going to
ship.
be wrong. Yeah, so we'll see how it all pans out. I have a hard time believing that the main character up to this point, Rey, ends up the villain, but we will see.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of upset people, I think. Well, I'll just have to see. It won't be that simple if that happens.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. And, I'll have faith that it'll turn out well in the end. And I don't think this will end on any kind of cliffhanger. I think this is the end of this part of the story.
Yeah, this is the end of the story. And this may very well be the end of the Skywalker saga.
Which, personally, I've loved it for all its ups and downs. I'm happy to move on to other aspects of that galaxy.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the big, picture, who's overthrowing which government and all that. But there's, thousands of years history in this story, and we are kind of all concentrated on, a dozen or so characters over a 20, 30, 40-year time frame period.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other stories.
There are, yeah. And the Mandalorian, we're starting to see some of that, I think.
Yeah. And even the Obi-Wan that's coming out is it has to do with one of the original main characters, but it doesn't have a Skywalker in it. I mean, unless they show Luke from a distance as a little kid running around.
Yeah.
Going after some power converters.
Say that there's no Skywalkers in it is yet to be told. It's going to be a series itself.
And they could have Vader in the background, obviously Skywalker.
I think that it would be really cool.
But I doubt it. They won't have any interaction. Well, I'm sorry. Let me just jump in. They could have Vader in the Obi-Wan, the time period. Yeah. But he can't have any interaction with Obi-Wan.
Because he hasn't confronted him until he does on the Death Star.
But also on the Death Star, he doesn't say when the last time he confronted him was. The last time I left you.
I was a learner. Now I am the master. And, so but the whole thing you do know in the Star Wars universe is that Vader knows that Obi-Wan's still alive, and he is looking for him. And he is hunting down other Jedi that escaped Order 66. He's searching for other Jedi and destroying all them. So that plot line of Obi-Wan, going into his exile and learning more about the Force, you could also really go into on the other end what's going on with Vader and have a series with Darth Vader. Oh God, that'd be fantastic of him, his search for Obi-Wan.
I think of that as a background story, like what Obi-Wan's doing these other little missions, yes. And then saying one step, like a little cat and mouse thing, saying one step ahead
of him the whole time while not letting him find out about the twins. And I'm sorry.
I'd be excited for that.
I would be excited for that. More of Vader wrecking stuff is just exciting for me.
So you're a fan of the hallway scene at the end of Rogue One?
Oh my God. I love it because it's like everybody talks about
full power,
how bad that Vader was, and then that scene.
But you never see him. He gets just created, or old man Vader.
Yeah, or old man Vader, and he's just wrecking stuff, cutting people in half. He's like, why is everybody so scared of this guy? That's why everybody's so scared of this guy. He guy's a scary mofo.
Well, November 12th for Mandalorian on Disney Plus, just a few short months, and then December 20th on the big screen for Episode 9. Rise of Skywalker. And
so we'll be covering all of that for sure. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thanks.